All right, so we're on page 122 now, and we're doing -2 commands. So what you're going to do is take the yo form, which would be hablo, remove the o, and then add the following endings. If it's an AR verb, you're going to add ES. If it's an ER or IR verb, you're going to add AS. So I always think of it as just the opposite, right? Because if it was an AR verb, I would want to add AS. ER verbs, I would want to add ES. So it's just the opposite there. But you're doing this off of the yo form. That's what's important. So I took hablo, I got rid of the O, and then I added ES. And that gave me hables. I took como, I got rid of the O, I added, because it's an ER verb, I added AS, so it's comas. And I took abro, I took off the O, and it's an IR verb, so it's going to be abras, with that ending on there. All right, so no salgas. Sorry, the same rule applies to verbs whose present tense yo form ends in go, sco, yo, and ho. And that's why I have to do this out of the yo form, because those irregular yo forms are obviously affected. So no salgas si estás enferma, no les ofrezcas, and no escojas comida con mucha grasa. The following verbs have irregular -2 commands. So I've got no des. Again, it seems normal, right? Because instead of R, AR, I'm putting ES, but it would be oi, and then that gets weird. So that's why it's irregular. Ir would be no vayas. Estar would be estés, no estés. And ser would be no seas. All right, these -2 commands are going to come in handy when we learn the subjunctive in the next chapter. So definitely this is something you need to learn, not just for this chapter, but for really a lot of the spring semester. Okay, so verbs ending in car, gar, and zar have the following spelling changes in the -2 commands in order to keep the original sound. So if I had done this the way that I would normally do it, it would say saco. I would remove that, and because it's an AR verb, I would put ES. But C followed by E makes a se sound, and I need that k sound, so I'm going to get that QU. This is similar to why we do this in the preterite. Gar would get the GE, and we don't want that, so it gets the GU. And zar, it's following that same thing as the car, gar, and zar verbs. And they are car, gar, and zar verbs, so keep that in mind. So that's not good. So we're going to have no saques, no llegues, and no cruces. All right, cruces, cruzar is to cross. If you are using a reflexive or object pronouns, if you're using reflexive or object pronouns with negative commands, place them after no. Estás enfermo, no comas. Wait. No te levantas. I'm sorry. Let me just fix that. No te levantes. That's going to get an E ending because of the AR here. So it's going to be very similar to what we do in the yo form. I mean in the present tense regular verb form. So I'm going to take off this ending. Since I'm talking to you, it's going to become te. And then I've got levantar left. Then I put levanto. And then I get rid of the O and I add ES because it's an AR ending verb. Okay? So no te levantes. All right. And here is our practice. So it says, Fernando wants some tips for being successful at school. He wants to know what not to do for being having good health and being successful at school. So Here's your example. Fernando says, I don't think that I have very good eating habits. For example, something, a lot of candies. Do I eat a lot of candies? Do I sneeze a lot of candies, or do I make a lot of candies? So I'm going to choose the correct verb first, and then I'm going to say, pues entonces, blah, blah, blah. Pues entonces means like, well, then don't do that. Well, it means well, then, and then the don't do it comes afterwards. So, um, also, or in addition to that, generally I am thirsty during the day. I always forget, eat, sleep to bring agua, to bring water. I always forget. Pues, entonces, no olvido is what I would put. Then instead, it's an olvidar. You have to know what the infinitive of the verb that you chose was. It's olvidar, so I'm going to take off that AR ending. The yo form is normal, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to add es. Olvides de beber agua. So don't forget to bring water then. He says, I never bring my lunch. I always bathe, cut, or buy junk food. Clearly, he's not bathing or cutting junk food, he's buying it. And this is comprar. We're going to need to know that in a minute. So, pues entonces, no compro. And this in the yo form obviously looks like this. Cross that off. Because it was an AR verb, I'm going to put es. Compres comida basura. Next up. También, also, I something food during the day. For example, I didn't eat breakfast, so I skip food or meals. So this is a meal. So I skip meals throughout the day. For example, I didn't eat breakfast. All right. So, pues entonces, what am I going to tell him not to do? I'm going to tell him not to skip a meal. No. Salto is from saltar, which is an AR verb. So it'd be saltes comidas. I'm going to start using exclamation points at this point because he's a fool. All right. Yeah, but it's not easy. It's that something nervous at school. I make myself nervous at school. I try nervous, or I become nervous. I become nervous. So notice that the yo form is weird here. It ends in geo. So that is the verb poner. I need to know that so I know what to put on the end. So pues, entonces, sorry. No, I have the me there, so I have to have the te now. No te pongas. That geo is represented, and the er has become as. No te pongas nervioso. Well then, don't get nervous. Easier said than done. My friend's not giving very good advice. All right. Oops. This is half and half. Oh, did that get cut off? We will skip number 6 since you don't know what the sentence is. Now Fernanda says, well, yeah, it's not easy. I'm very lazy, I run very lazy, or I go for walks very lazy. I am very lazy. So, pues, well, no, I'm not going to put entonces this time. I don't have to. No, it's soy, and soy is one of the weird ones. Ser is. So it's no seas perezoso. And ser is a great verb. You use this all the time. Like if you want to say don't be mean, or don't be stubborn, or don't be this way, and you want to use an adjective with it, this is how you use it in Spanish. So you could say this, try it out. Say it to your friend. Say like, no seas grosero. No seas grosero. That means don't be rude. Okay? Look up any adjective that you want to and use it. No seas loca. Don't be crazy. All right. Cuando llego a la casa no estudio. Blank la televisión. Do I close the door? Do I close the TV? Do I navigate or surf the TV? Or do I watch the TV? Miro. And it's an AR verb. It's mirar. This is where memorizing all that vocabulary comes in handy, as knowing what kind of verb it is. So no mires la tele. In addition to that, I like to something video games. Okay, so this time I'm saying I like to blank video games. You don't want to tell them, then don't like to do this. You want to just say, then don't do that. So this one, even though it's given to you in the infinitive, you're going to change it. So I also like to play video games. I like to avoid video games, or I like to think video games. Those are obviously wrong. Jugar in the yo form is juego, and it is an AR verb, and so it's a GAR verb. So it's actually going to end in UES. Hopefully I'll remember that. No juegues videojuegos, entonces. And that is it.